Bismillah. Hello, everybody. Today we will discuss with our dear guest, Dr. Elnasser Abdul Wahab, an important topic, which is rational and materialistic models of the Quran. So, welcome, Dr. Elnasser. I'm glad to be with you.
Welcome, Ahmed. I'm always happy to be with you.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, so we are continuing what we started last time. I'll go a little back. I'm going to show here an attempt to make a rational materialistic model about the creation of the Quran. Means that some human that it is human made. Of course, as any model, there are some hypotheses, and I have put here 5 hypotheses. We have discussed them last time, but very quickly I'm going through to discuss them again.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first hypothesis, those are, by the way, facts which we have to consider, and they are either empirical beliefs or empirical knowledge. Yeah. Like, for example, the first fact is that there were some carbon datings of independent carbon datings which put chapters 17 to 36 of the Quran within 20 to 40 years after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, why is this fact important in our attempt now? Because it will rule out anybody who will say that it was, for example, 100 years earlier or 100 years more. Of course, there is margin, as we discussed last time. There is a margin, but the margin will never be 100 years.
Yeah, even in the archaeological studies. Yeah.
Yeah. So this here we have an approximation of the time where the Quran appeared. Number 2, fact 2 is the Golden Age, and Golden Age where the translations began. And here also there is consensus. Everybody, I don't think that anyone discusses this, even that the Golden Age of the Islamic civilization is put at 786 AD in the Abbasid era. Number 3, before the Golden Age, there were already the jurisprudence schools. All 4 of them actually. Before, at the end of the Umayyad era, there were already the fiqh schools, and in the Abbasid Caliphate there were discussions about hadith and about all the details of fiqh actually. So when we say fiqh, because we are speaking about fiqh, F3 is important to know.
We can say that the Abbasid era was the crystallization, or these sciences started to take shape, the full shape.
Well, I think they started to get shape before, because usul was created before that, before the Golden Age by Imam Shafi'i. So for me, it's always usul. If you say, when did mathematics be? When was mathematics founded upon the foundation which we have today? I will tell you when they started the science of meta-mathematics, where they started with meta-mathematical concepts. Yeah. Number 4, this fact also that Quran was and is in daily use by millions of Muslims. This is very important in our observation, and it is also not contested by anyone, I hope. We are living now in a world of lunatics. Maybe someone will contest this.
No,
but
it's very difficult.
Quran was and is. Quran is not like a
vivid text. Yeah.
People are not only putting Quran on the shelf and waiting for the next edition. No, they are every day, 5 days, millions of people are using Quran, so it's in daily use. Now this rules out what? That somebody comes and changes something. Of course, this is a very important observation. If you have a book so produced, so heavily produced all over the world, and people know it by heart, many people know it by heart, and they have copies of it, how easy is it to change any single word in it, or even in a phrase or whatever. It's nearly impossible, because all these other people who will find the change will object to what you are doing. So F4 is also very important, actually a very important fact. And this is fact now. This is not, this is knowledge.
What we call in Arabic tawatur.
Yeah, it is so fixed in that you cannot go and just claim this ayah had this and this without getting objections from everybody. Yeah? And this was all the time like this when it was written, but also when it was recited, because even without writing, you know that to make salah in Islam you have to recite from the Quran. So if I, for example, recite from Surah Wad-Duha, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى, I cannot just put another ayah or invent something, even if I am a king. Yeah, even if I am a ruler, it's not like per rule you will change the Quran to the opposite.
Because the people will not perform this.
No, the people will consider the ruler to be kafir and murtad, and they will make a revolution. So it cannot happen, actually. Yeah. Number 5, Quran itself includes in the fragments which are where we are going to discuss it. It includes event-oriented verses. For example, when it speaks about Uhud, about Badr, and events happening in the time
or the defeat of the Romans,
then it contains also modified stories of Old and New Testament. We have seen it last time, discussed it. Cognition-related verses, as well as description of natural phenomena, which we are going to see. Now, to do such a materialistic model, what are possible creation criteria? You can have either a single author, like Sayyidina Muhammad, of course, or multiple authorship. You could have literacy not only in Arabic. You might say he was knowledgeable in Arabic, he knew Arabic.
Polyglot. Should be polyglot. Aramaic.
Or you might say he was polyglot. He was not only knowing Arabic. And the time of its creation, before or after the Golden Age, of course, as per F1, it must be before the Golden Age. I mean, if I say after the Golden Age, this is really contradicting many of these facts. But these are still possibilities, and these were the possibilities was discussed in the literature of Orientalism or so-called Islamic studies, heavily discussed for a long time, which is amazing. If you discuss some absurd ideas for like 5 minutes, it's too much. But if you discuss absurd ideas 5 years, if you discuss absurd ideas 5 years, 50 years, it becomes, like we said last time, an attempt to genocide, and genocidal attempt.
It's not
science. It's not even pseudoscience. It is destruction. It is an attempt to destroy. If I read, because I myself, as you know, I'm a mathematician, computer scientist. All this is for me a little different than my specialization, although I know about these things. But when I read that in the 1970s, there was a whole bunch of so-called scientists in Western countries who call themselves Islam revisionists, and they insisted to put the date of creation of Quran in the Abbasid era, in the Golden Age. I find it amazing that they started in the 70s, and this whole revisionist trend was finished only 2014 or something like that, when they did carbon dating. So ask yourself, all those years, what did so-called Islam scientists and so on do, other than discussing?
But we didn't hear much about it in the Muslim world, because the context wasn't like now.
But whether it is in the Muslim world or not in the Muslim world, it's amazing how much money these people put in destruction and in absurd things. It's really amazing. And we are going to see also the absurdity of some of the things during this lecture. Now, having put those 5 facts and the possible creation criteria, let us assume that it is Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. I will take, so I'm assuming here that Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam wrote the Quran. He himself wrote the Quran. Now I will take 2 content examples. I will not do like others and go just through the form, but I will go to the content. As we said, the content is more important than the form. So avoiding to discuss the content is amazing for me. Yeah. Now you see, I will take a content example from this descriptions of natural phenomena. Now, this is linked to what they call scientific miracles of Quran. And when they say scientific miracles of the Quran, they actually laugh at it. Yeah, they think it's an absurd idea. Of course, I don't call it scientific miracles because nothing is everything is a miracle and nothing is a miracle. Allah can do anything, so it's not a miracle.
Absolute can do.
From this point of view, and
because science is relative and miracle is
so science actually. So what I call this is the incapability of understanding the creation of such
signs of incapability.
So like I'm taking now this verse, two content examples. One verse from Surah Al-Kahf about the difference between Gregorian and lunar system, and the inheritance laws, the famous inheritance law. Just 2 places in Quran. You can count about 51 places where the same type of study is possible. So if I take the first وَلَبِثُوا فِي كَهْفِهِمْ 300 سِنِينَ وَازْدَادُوا 9, and they remained in their cave for 300 years and exceeded by 9. This is here referring, and again here consensus, it's referring to the difference between Gregorian year and lunar year. So 1 Gregorian year is 1.03068 lunar year. This makes 300 solar years, 309.2 lunar years. And this can only be calculated if we know that Earth takes 365.2 days around the sun to come back to the same point in its orbit. Now, this area has a certain personal attachment to me, or vice versa. I'm having a certain, because when we were in the German school in Cairo, the physics teacher who just came from Germany, and he was like wanting to enlighten us in their way. So we were in a physics lesson, and then all of a sudden he said, let us stop here. We were discussing the Gregorian and lunar system, and then all of a sudden he told us, let's see whether the Quran is right or wrong. I was shocked. I was just 15 years old or something like this. I was shocked because I didn't know that Quran mentioned the difference between Gregorian and lunar year. But this guy, as illuminated as he is, he mentioned this ayah, and this was the first time I heard about this ayah from this guy who was telling us, let us calculate and see whether 309 is the correct answer, whether Quran is right or wrong. Now, this experience in my youth, actually I was still a teenager, had made a very big difference without him knowing.
It was a turning point, yeah.
It was a turning point because all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, there are natural phenomena in the Quran. Now we calculated all about 1 hour, and when I say we, the class was full of students, Germans and Egyptians and all this, and it came out 309. It came out like here 309.2. The guy became pale a little, and you know what he said? Yeah, the Arabs were good mathematicians. At this point, I will never forget this claim from him. So at this point, I asked myself, oh my goodness, he couldn't falsify the Quran. And his explanation is so absurd because we knew from the history lesson that the Arabs became good in mathematics only in the Golden Age. Yeah. So exactly here is the same. So this ayah,
and mainly the
this
huge
ayah started for me the idea of going behind natural phenomena in the Quran and studying what is said in Quran, comparing it to what is known in science.
by the way, the big figures
What you might call al-ijaz al-ilmi, the scientific miracles, I call it scientific incapability to understand how these verses were put. Now, let me continue. Maybe after that, you can have your remark. So actually here to put 309, where could this come from? Let us say Muhammad ﷺ wanted to put it and he searched for a source. The Romans were the only ones who did something in this direction at his time. So he was near to the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire. This is the only empire with which he had contact, actually. Yeah. So the Romans had 366 days, which would have made the 300 years 310, not 9. So as per Romans, the Romans knew that it is, or thought that it is 366 days. If you calculate it using the same formula, you'll find out it's 310, not 9. So it is, he didn't get it from the Romans. Now the question is when was the correct number of days known? So actually it's about the number of days. Yeah. It's not 366, but it is 365.2 days. Who knew it? Ancient Egypt. And we know that ancient Egypt knew it today. We didn't know. Ancient Egypt, hieroglyphics was dead. No one knew that these pictures and signs on the temples were a language at all. It was just dead, a dead language until
it hasn't been deciphered yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Ancient Babylonian, the same. Ancient Greek. So everything is ancient, actually, which lets you wonder from where did he get it? Now, prerequisite for knowing the correct number of years is not only translation and math and physics, but also, and this is now very important, a lot of experiments. So he couldn't, does this mean that Muhammad ﷺ had time to make experiments to know when the sun will come exactly to the same point or what? So now this, because of the fact that you need to do a lot of experiments, you need to have translation, you need to have math, you need to have physics. It is again the question of golden age. So was this ayah put in the golden age, for example, like some lunatics will say, like this guy in the German school thought or pretended to answer? Actually, if we say this ayah was put in the golden age, we contradict all the facts which fact 1, which is carbon dating, because Surah Al-Kahf was found in the carbon dating. Fact 3, we contradict fact 3. Fact 3 says that the fiqh schools came before the golden age. So why does this contradict? So you are saying that in the golden age they changed Quran while discussing a hadith? It cannot be. So they quarreled about a hadith. It cannot be that Quran was not fixed.
Till the 5th century. Yeah.
It must be that Quran, they cannot be quarreling around a hadith and still writing Quran. Any sane person will think like this. Yeah? And fact 4, of course, if you change anything in Quran, fact 4, and you know that it is used by millions and hundreds of thousands of people, You cannot do this. You cannot just change.
We should have found different mushafs, for example, or different
No,
copies.
the people will not allow you if you say. And now there is also another thing. Why would you put such an information? Look at the verse. The verse is وَازْدَادُوا تِسْعَةً is just one additional information, and this is the really the might of Quran. Quran, when it comes with this type of unexplained and incapable, where we don't have the capability to explain why it is, it brings it just as a side effect of what it's saying. It is discussing some people who slept 300 years. Why on earth would you write وَازْدَادُوا تِسْعَةً? Why on earth would you write and they exceeded by 9? No reason why you would write this. Yeah? So here it's a clear thing where I don't have a model of Muhammad or even any committee of authors which will do such a thing. First of all, they should have calculations. They cannot just go and write 309 and it might be wrong or might be right. So they have calculated. If they have calculated, they have also translated, and they have math and they have physics. These can only be in the golden age, but in the golden age, the Quran was there. Why? Because we know it from carbon dating. We know it from the fixation of the time of fiqh schools. We know it from the fact that Quran was used extensively by millions of people. It cannot be actually. It cannot be that anyone changed. And it cannot be also at the same time that even a literate guy like Muhammad can know about Greeks and Indians and Egyptians and all these type of ancient civilizations. So here I am incapable to find a materialistic model for this. I am incapable. I must confess. And if you ask them, I mean, this guy who told me the Arabs were good mathematicians, no. They were only good mathematicians in the golden age. But at the time of the revelation, they were illiterate people, most of them, the majority of them. Not only this, but the Romans themselves didn't know that it is 365. So you cannot say that.
By the way, the illiteracy was normal in this age in all nations.
Yeah, it is until now normal. It is not like an invention or something. So this is the first ayah. Now we come to the second and very interesting ayah actually three ayahs of inheritance. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
We need the English translation.
I will bring also, of course, the English translation. يوصيكم الله في أولادكم للذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين فإن كن نساء فوق اثنتين فلهن ثلث ما ترك وإن كانت واحدة فلها النصف ولأبويه لكل واحد منهما السدس مما ترك إن كان له ولد فإن لم يكن له ولد وورثه أبواه فلأمه الثلث فإن كان له إخوة فلأمه السدس من بعد وصية يوصي بها أو دين آباؤكم وأبناؤكم لا تدرون أيهم أقرب لكم نفعا فريضة من الله إن الله كان عليما حكيما. صدق الله العظيم. Allah commands you as regards your children, the inheritance, to the male a portion equal to that of two females. If there are only daughters, two or more, their share is 2/3 of the inheritance. If only one, her share is half. For parents, a 6th share of inheritance to each if the deceased left children, and so on. Now, the first thing you will think about when you read this ayah is actually falsification. Now, this is here a genuine place where we can say it might be wrong. It might be wrong. Why? Because the objection which somebody can put is to say, if you have a case half and 2/3, this is greater than 1. Yeah. Now this is here an occasion where I will first start with the falsification attempt. So in the last ayah, I tried to explain how this ayah is put because 309 was very clear that it is the right number. Yeah. Now I have a model of distribution of inheritance, which has the following, which might bring the following case. I have, for example, a husband, and he will take half of the inheritance, and then his wife, his deceased wife, had two sisters. They will take 2/3. So half plus 2/3 is greater than 1. Here I can say, even using algebraic or other solutions preserves the shares, although the shares are preserved. You can solve this equation using algebra. The shares are preserved, but it reduces sometimes the amount from half, third of the full amount to a smaller value. So actually half plus 2/3 is 7/6. So if, for example, he left 1,000, and you solve the equation 7/6 x is equal to 1,000, then you get the share of both of them, of the husband and the sisters, to be less than half and less than 2/3. So in that case, we cannot attain the specific portion of the whole amount apparently required by the verses. So if we think that these verses want us to distribute those shares respective always to the whole amount, then there is a mistake. Of course, there is a mistake. We go back to the verse, you will find here ثلث ما ترك. Yeah. So like when I'm saying أعطني نصف ما في جيبك. Give me half of what's in your pocket. So if the ayah was always referring to half of something, and ما is actually used to refer to everything. Yeah? ما تفيد العموم means it refers to everything. So if the ayah had used only نصف ما, yeah, it would have been a mistake, of course. But you find in the ayah other constructions. You find the construction السدس مما ترك. So sometimes the ayah, not only this ayah, but the other two ayahs, sometimes it will use ما ترك, and sometimes it will use مما ترك. Now مما ترك, it's like saying أعطني النصف مما في جيبك. النصف مما في جيبك. In Arabic language, when I put min before ma, then يفيد التبعيض. Means give me the half from what is in your pocket. So in one version, in this ayah, in one formulation, it says give me half of, and in another formulation it refers to half from what's in your pocket. So from the one side, when it uses the ma, yeah, it is half of the exact whole. When it uses the min, it is half of whole or less than that. Means at the end, and you notice here very, very immediately that Quran is using not only ma and not only mimma, but it's using them both. And actually, the number of times where ma is used in these ayahs, they are only the 4 ayahs actually. In the 4 ayahs, it uses 3 times ma, 3 times the exact whole, and 5 times the whole or less, which is interesting. It's interesting. Now, of course, you ask yourself, if this was a guy who wrote this, or even a committee, why did they use different formulations? Why did they use once ma tarak and once mimma tarak? Knowing the Arab language, ma tarak, mudaf and mudaf ilayh means exactly the half. أعطني نصف ما في جيبك, give me exactly whatever I'm saying here, whatever is in your pocket, give me the half of it. Yeah. While if I tell you أعطني النصف مما في جيبك, when I say مما في جيبك, from what is in your pocket, then you could take something out of your pocket and split it to half and give me the half. It will also fulfill the same idea. So you have two things, and both of them express different different portions, actually, different ways of dividing,
Of
actually
distribution. Yeah.
different ways of so basically, if we trying to falsify will show us that all cases mentioned in the verses don't allow contradiction between whole and whole or less. For example, the husband gets half of the whole only when the wife had no children. Who would be able to inherit 2/3 of the whole? Yeah. So there cannot be a case where half the husband gets a half, and the wife had children who will get 2/3. Why? Because he gets the half only when the wife had no children. So there is
If she has
no
children, he
possible.
will take the quarter. Yeah.
Exactly, and he will take the quarter, and the quarter will be the way the Quran describes the quarter. In that case, it is not whole, but whole or less. So are able to use the algebra and use the other methods to approximate. So now to be more precise, here are the ayat. Whatever is in red shows you the ma, yeah? ثلث ما ترك. And النصف is also referring to ma. Whatever is in
blue,
this light blue, it is mimma, السدس mimma. So you see here, we have 1, 2, 3 times 4, but the rest is blue or a little in the direction of blue also. Now, I have put them together in this short notice. So part of whole, when do you see mimma? You see when somebody inherits 1/6, in that case, he is either a father or a mother if there are children, or a mother if there are no children but siblings, or a sister and brother in case of kalala, so-called kalala, no children and no parents. So 1/6 you get in these cases, as per the ayah. 1/4 you get in these cases if the husband gets 1/4 if wife had children, or the wife gets 1/4 if husband had no children. 1/8 the wife gets 1/8 if husband had children. The mother gets 1/3 if there are no children, or in case of kalala, no children, no parents, and more than a brother and a sister. 2/3 you get. All this was formulated in the ayah using mimma, not ma, mimma.
So part of the whole.
Part of the whole. So 2/3 will get 2 sisters in case of kalala, where there are no children and no parts. Now, when did the ayat use ma, the whole? Here could have been falsification. Whatever is here, if it comes together, it can contradict. Yeah. If, for example, a husband, for example, it uses ma when the husband inherits from a wife who had no children. So it uses ma to ma means 1/2. The husband gets a half if the wives had no children. The daughters get half. The sister, in case of kalala, also with no children and no parents, get half. Now, both those things could have contradicted with the 2/3 here, because this is the 2/3 where the ma was used. Yeah. So ma was used with the 2/3 when you have more than one daughter. Now, let us say, can I have 1/2 with 2/3? These two would contradict themselves. Yeah. It would have been a contradiction if the husband will get half and more than one daughter will get 2/3, but the husband gets only half if the wife had no children. So this case will never occur. This case also, a daughter gets half. Yeah, so the daughter gets half. It contradicts with more than one daughter. Yeah, but this is only one daughter, so it will never. So if it is only one daughter, it will get half. It is more than one daughter, it will get 2/3. So those two can never occur together also. Those two can never occur. Those two can never occur. Let's see this. Sister in case of kalala. Kalala means no children and no parents. Of course, this contradicts more than one daughter. So you can have here in this for the use
I
of
think
man.
we have to stop here and we will continue in
Yeah,
the
but let me say just for the use of ma, you don't have any, you cannot have any contradiction. So if we take literally ma to mean the exact